we obviously get into projects that you're excited about. I love Brother Son, and
Ah,
I can't
thank you.
wait to finish the series. It's just I've got it to finish. I've got the last episode that I'm going to watch after this, and it's
Oh,
been
amazing.
a treat to just kind of nerd out a little bit with you on that and to
Oh,
hear your
thank you.
experience.
Thank you
We
so much. Oh, I really appreciate that. Anytime someone watches the show, it's like, you watch the show. Thank you. It means such a great deal to me because um, whilst it was number two on Netflix for about 5 or 6 weeks in the world, it still wasn't enough for people for it to get a season two, unfortunately. But and so when people say they've watched it, I thought, you've watched the show? Oh my gosh, thank you. It's so I really really appreciate it. I did have some a comment when I came back from California after promoting the show. Went into the gym and someone said to me, "Oh my gosh, I've just seen a show. There's a guy in it that looks just like you, but you're in way better shape than he is." I'm like, "Oh, oh, what's it called?" And then he said, "I think it's called The Brothers of Sun or something." I was like, "Oh, okay. And where can I watch it?" He goes, "Netflix." I'm like, "Okay, I'll watch it." And I saw him, about a year later. "Hey, did you watch that show in the end?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess he does look a bit like me." I never told him. Stay humble.
stay humble. Love that.
Oh
So
gosh, I love it.
yeah, it was a treat to chat through some of your experiences in and around that. We spoke about how you got to that point and the chance encounter there. We also kind of talked through mantra and philosophy and identity tied
Yes,
to acting and stunt work. It's more than just being hit in the face. I think that's fair to
yeah,
say.
100%,
Yeah.
100%.
What
Yeah,
else would you highlight, do you think, from the episode?
I would also say life experience
Mhm.
is it's a cliche, but it's invaluable. It's invaluable for whatever you do or whatever you choose to do in life. Everything that you've done up until this point will help you, will inform you to make a better decision in the future, hopefully. Yeah, and I'd say, rejection should always be regarded as redirection. Not every opportunity is the right one for you. And it's accepting that. It's okay to be sad, to mourn the process, but that opportunity wasn't for you. That's okay. And I'd say, you can't just wait. You need to grow to receive what's coming.
As you said that, there was a phrase that is maybe helpful, maybe it's too trite, that maybe not every opening is an opportunity, but you won't know until
Absolutely.
you have a look.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. It's like if I was a medium, for instance, and I said to you, I can, you're going to be prime minister one day. I can see it in your future. But if you chose to stay at home and do nothing, then that future potential disappears. You still have to work for it. You still have to work for that dream, for that end goal to come true. So never stop. Sometimes things are slow. That's okay. That's okay. It's just when you're not working in your craft, you need to be working on your craft.
Really excited for people to listen to the episode, to watch the episode, wherever they get the podcast. Yeah, do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. John, you've been class. Let's get into it.
Thank you so much.
And I was in California recently and I bought a really nice suit. And what I didn't factor in was the fact that I would have to get all of this home, all for a wedding. And the last thing that I wanted to do was to leave all of these new clothes, these nice clothes in San Francisco. But my rucksack was only this big.
Oh,
So I wore it all and walked, I think, 4 or 5 miles in brand new, unbroken Doc Martens in this suit, shirt to get to the airport. And I look like this,
oh, looking good.
which I appreciate. Thank you. I walked past a group of like teenagers, let's say they were 17 to 19. And I'm fairly certain one of them said, "Is that Timu Pitbull?"
Oh, oh my God. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. And I'd made the joke that to my friends and family, like I'd already texted ahead and I was like, Mr. Worldwide, Mr. 305. They said the cheap version of Pitbull. I kind of had to laugh. When
Hmm.
I was watching Brother's Son, you have got, I think, two different pairs of shades on. And I was
Yes.
like, John looks like Vin Diesel. That's I would have wanted that. Like I could take Pitbull, I could take Vin Diesel, but not the knockoff version of it. You actually look legitimate on the screen as you're
Oh,
rocking in Brother's Son.
thank
How
you.
did you get to that point, John? How did this happen?
Well, first of all, I want to circle back to that photo because I think you look more like Jason Statham.
Stop it. Stop it.
It's a really, really good look. But yeah, with Brother's Son, that was a dream come true for me because I used to work as a stunt performer, and it was always my dream as a kid to be an actor. And stunts was how I got into film back in 2010 or 2011. And I just went from job to job, but it was never consistent work. It was always, a coordinator might reach out to me saying, "We need you just for a few days." So I book a day off work and go do some stunt work, and then, come back the following day and be back at my desk at work. And then I think when lockdown happened and everything, that was, or right before lockdown, I decided to take stunts full time. And then when lockdown happened, I thought, oh no. But then when things started lifting, when the restrictions started lifting, I started doing more stunt work and everything. And yeah, I was very busy. But then doing acting was always at the forefront of my mind. This is what I want to do. So I said no to a lot of stunt work to do lower budget films where I would be acting because I thought, okay, the stunts pays well. And the independent films where I'm acting pays so little in comparison, but this is what I want to do. So I will prioritize that. And, I did a lot of student films. Then one day, I believe it was in April 2022, I received an email out of the blue from a casting director saying, "Hi, we are casting for a TV show at the moment called The Brother's Son. It's just been greenlit. We'd love for you to read for a role, to audition." I thought, oh my gosh. And at the time there was no details about the brother's son. So I thought, okay. And I looked at the credentials of the casting director. I thought, oh, okay, this is all quite legit, amazing. So, okay, it's probably very new. And I auditioned for about a month, just sending audition tapes back and forth, having Zoom calls with the casting director, who was Jenny is lovely, by the way. You're just having back and forth with her, and she would tweak my performance here and there, and then she said, "Okay, great, I'll be in touch." And then I had another call with the director, the producer, the writer, and everybody was on the call. I thought, oh, it's a little daunting. Yeah, I think I gave a good account of myself, and the casting director, Jenny, she messaged me afterwards saying, "Great job. Should hopefully get back to you next week." April 29th. I remember it was my dad's birthday, and when I got the call saying, "Hi, John. Yeah, how are you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. How are you?" And she said, "You got the job." That was probably the happiest day of my life because I remember thinking, "Oh my gosh, I haven't said a word in the past like minute or so." I mean, she recalls it as if I had not spoken for maybe 10 seconds, maybe less, but for me it was an eternity. I was like, "Oh my gosh, say something." Oh, oh my goodness. And so after that, we had to get my visa ready and everything. And I was told by Netflix that the role would be announced, everything would be announced sometime in June. So I thought, okay. So when June came and the cast was announced, and I saw Michelle Yeoh's face, her headshot was there, I thought, oh my gosh, wait, Michelle Yeoh's in this? Oh, I couldn't believe it. Yeah, it was a double whammy. So, the role was announced and Michelle Yeoh was there as well. I thought, oh my God, let dream come true. It was always my dream to work with her as a kid because growing up, you've got Jet Li, Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, Michelle Yeoh. She is phenomenal. So I thought, oh my gosh, I get to work with her. But then when I flew out to LA in July 2022 and I met with Jenny, the casting director, I said to her, "How on earth did you find me?" Because I don't have an agent. I'm not on Spotlight, which actors need to be on. At the time, I didn't have enough credits to be on Spotlight. That's where all the casting jobs are advertised. And it was a platform that I just was not eligible to get on. I said to her, "So how did you find me?" And she said, I saw you on someone else's showreel. Thought, oh my gosh, like whose showreel? Because I need to send somebody flowers. And she goes, "I cannot remember. And so I believe it was somebody else's stunt reel, which didn't have, it may have been a segment, but she said there wasn't a title or anything, and it just happened to be in the background. And she said, who was that guy? And then she did some reverse engineering and then found me on IMDb where I had a photograph. And she said, if you didn't have a photograph on IMDb, I would never have found you. So I remember thinking, because I couldn't get onto Spotlight, I can promote myself on Instagram, I can build my website, and have an IMDb Pro account where I can customize everything. So even though I'm not on Spotlight, I'm everywhere else. And she said it was because of my IMDb Pro account where I had a photograph where she was able to find me. I believe it was by chance that she saw the reel, but it wasn't by chance that I put my details out there for someone to get in touch. So I always say to people, if you're not able to get on Spotlight, work on everything else, like Instagram, like having a web presence, like IMDb Pro. But that is something that I'm really happy that I invested in earlier on in my career. Even though she found me, I still had to audition and go through the process of auditioning.
So much in this, John, of how you describe knowing what you want really early on and going
Yes.
after it. And there's this meme that I've just referred to in the last episode of miners digging for gold. And over the course of days, we can see them becoming progressively more tired and the tunnel obviously getting longer. And what the miners don't see is that they only have this little bit left. And then all the treasure they were looking for is on this side of the tunnel. But they
Yes.
stop. They stop because they don't have what they think they should have by this point of the journey.
Yes.
And I think what you've just demonstrated is that you have to keep on going if you really believe in it. If you believe the gold is there, keep on going. But also know that there are other things you can do to make sure that if this isn't the route that you get it by, you could, end up going around something or you go under or whatever it is. If you can't go through it, you go under, you go over, you go around. And it just feels to me that you've almost manifested this opportunity as much as worked for it, if that's fair to say.
100%. And I think certainly with, I love that meme, by the way. I love that meme because I think not now doesn't mean not ever. If you have a dream, you need to keep that dream alive because I think the world is big enough for everyone to have what they want to achieve and more. And the work is out there, the opportunities are out there. And so I say to people who aren't booking a lot of jobs, because I certainly went through a phase where I wasn't even getting auditions. I wasn't being seen. And when I was going into for auditions, there were people more suited for the role. So I always think it's just experience. The more job interviews you have, the better you get at them. You become less nervous. And I definitely think when you're not working in your craft, you need to be working on your craft. When the job comes, I want to be ready for that job. If someone said to me, I've got a great role for you, a fantastic role for you, but you need to be at 130 pounds. I'm like, oh, I'm not ready for that. So
No.
it's like I think you want to be ready for when the jobs come. I say to a lot of actors who are starting out, and even ones that have been in the game for a while, who haven't been booking as many jobs as they want to, or the kinds of jobs that they want to, is that they're out there. The job that is going to take you to the next level is not yet on your radar. It's still being written. And by the time they come to casting, you will have accumulated enough experience to become the right person for that job.
Mm.
So it's having that kind of mindset where not now doesn't mean not ever. If you have a dream, keep that dream alive. And certainly when I first started out, the competition the competition was quite high. It still is, I suppose, but especially with Instagram now, you have so much access to what everyone else is doing. It's very easy to be put off. But I say to people, look, I'm 5'8". I'm never going to be the tallest. I'm never going to be the best looking for whatever, or the best person, but the most ripped person that they need on. It doesn't matter. You just got to be the best you can be, and you need to be willing to put the work in. And it's enjoying the work as well. For instance, you need to be on point with your admin. If someone comes through with an email and your email inbox is filled with thousands of unread emails, you might miss that. So you need to be on point with your admin at all times. So that way you don't miss any opportunities. This is all part of the job. You might be a really good performer, but you also have to be good with the other aspects that come with performing. like showing up on time, all those things. So when you said, manifesting everything, the way I see it is absolutely I visualize my future the way I remember my past. So I remember my future essentially. Let's say you go on holiday and you come back and you're like, oh, holiday blues. But then, you might close your eyes and you're walking on the beach. You can feel the sand underneath your feet and it's hot and the sun beaming on your head and then you walk into the sea. It's not, once you go through that process of remembering something, your body actually feels like it's actually going through that same process. It's like describing eating a lemon to you. Actually just the thought of it, I'm already getting vacuum face. I do the same with my future. I also look at who future John is. Future John is kind, caring, hardworking. People like to work with him. People think he's friendly, and he's punctual, he's on time, he's responsible, takes accountability. I don't care about what he has, I care about who he is. And if I can adopt the traits of future John, then everything he has will eventually become mine. So my mind is in the future, my body just needs the requisite time to get there. So if I'm on a student film, I can still be the professional that future John already is. So those are traits that I can bring now. I'm living in different time zones. But I'd say, how I am on set now, as someone who is a professional actor, someone who makes a living from acting, how I am on set is how I've always been, even on the most independent, low budget student films. I've always been the same person because that's who I always needed to be.
Mm.
And then eventually what Future John has will become mine. But it's just enjoying the journey along the way, learning the lessons as well. And you have to make mistakes because I think you make mistakes and you have to learn from them. The mistakes don't make you. So it's just taking on, okay, maybe I need to read this contract a bit better, and just have better eyes with it, or defer to someone else's expertise and not be afraid to do that. If I'm remembering a future that has yet to happen, I'm taking into control what I want to see, how I want to feel. And I feel like I resonate with that future the more I do that because I'm remembering something that hasn't happened yet. Yeah.
Did you know that each episode of Fitness and Thinking takes about 10 hours to put together across Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube? If you've enjoyed them, then I've got a favour to ask of you. It's not your money. It is just a second to like what you like, maybe a couple of seconds to leave a comment. The last thing is to subscribe if you haven't already. Most people will watch an episode, maybe watch a couple in a row, but not subscribe. And yet that could be a massive sign to all those algorithms that you are interested in what Fitness and Thinking is all about. I was introduced to the idea of the dreaming when I was in Australia. Have you come across this?
Tell me more. Tell me more.
So the dreaming is the indigenous conception of time as a continuous present. So everything that has happened and will happen is happening now. In the dreaming, we are with our forebears, we are with our grandmothers and grandfathers and our grandkids. And so exactly what you've described is this notion of who you want to be already exists.
Yes.
Whether that's because you see yourself in someone else or because you see yourself in who you're going to be. And maybe an idea that I'm trying to tease out is that you want to be is just you plus action or you plus different choices. So if you set out on that path, the only difference between you and where you want to be are the steps that you take to get there, if that makes sense.
100%. 100%. I love that because sometimes you can have what you want, but not the way you thought it was going to happen. It's you might have a plan of how things are going to turn out. I like to focus on the end result. It's like choosing what you want most over what you want at the time. You you can have what you want, but it doesn't happen in the way that you thought it would. You know what I mean? It's and I think life has a really wonderful way of surprising you as well. But I really, really love that. I think, especially in quantum physics, they say everything is happening at the same time. I really love that concept. The dreaming. I will look into that.
Yeah, and in your quantum physics, this is the superimposition, isn't it? This is Schrodinger's
Right.
cat, that every outcome is possible, but when you
Yes.
observe it, you make it happen, sort of thing.
You know, I think as a child, I used to draw pictures of what I might look like in the future. And it was always bold with a goatee. I don't know why I resonated with that look, but I gotta say, in the childhood depictions that I drew of myself, I was much taller. You can't have it all. But
Oh,
my growth spurt is st may still be yet to come. I mean, my dad's 6'4". I'm not sure what happened here.
that's amazing. I always said that I'll be dead by 30. And then I felt that that wasn't going to happen. So I changed it to bald by 30.
Nice.
And I hit 34 in December. And I honestly feel, John, that I have 34 great years ahead of me still. That there's just
That.
this sense of I am where I should be. And
Yes.
how I feel right now is the best I've ever felt. So,
Oh, I love that. I love that.
here's to exactly what I've had again, almost, if that makes sense.
100%. 100%. And I know people say, I think when I turned 30, I was thinking, okay, 30 years of my life, let's see what I can do in the next 30.
Mm.
It's although some people do say that your 30s are the best years of your life. It's just figuring out which of those years they're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. I really love that. I really love that for you. When I was 34, yeah, I was 34, 35. Yeah, so I would have just been about to, I was doing a lot of stunt work back then, and end goal was still in sight. End goal was still in sight, and it still is. I think you've got to enjoy the process as well. And that way you don't miss the details. It's like I see some people who, they picture themselves on red carpets and everything. I'm like, yeah, but don't rush. Don't be in a rush to get there. Enjoy the process of, getting up early, having to go to a film set, having to do this, getting hair and makeup, and enjoy all of it. And I think when you enjoy the moment as well, I mean, that's what I mean by living in different time zones. I have the end goal in sight, but I want to enjoy the moment too.
How many times, John, do you reckon you need to be kicked in the head or to land on your face or to have whatever it is that life throws at you to understand things in this way, do you think? Is it something that
It's
comes naturally to you or has it come through hard knocks, so to speak?
certainly comes through hard knocks, and you'll have the same lesson through different people. It's like certainly if you have relationships with a certain type of person,
Mm.
if you haven't learned your lesson from those that relationship, you're more than likely gonna fall into a relationship with someone similar. You know what I mean? Until you learn those lessons. So it's like things do repeat themselves until you learn the right lesson. And it's I think relationships is probably the best way to describe that. You probably end up with the same person until you learn. Maybe I should regard these things to be red flags instead of just accepting this for what I've always had. Because I
Mm.
think it's very easy to fall into that pattern. And maybe maybe the problem is how I regard the problem, but I've certainly had a few hard knocks along the way, figuratively as speaking, and I think it's you know it's how you shift your mindset as well. It's um, when you go in for a job interview, it's like you're desperate to impress someone, but it's also an opportunity to evaluate, is this company right for me, for instance? Am I is this it's a good opportunity for you to see, would I fit in? I'm not just desperate because I want a job. It's like, do I resonate with the people, the ethos of this company? And not every opportunity is the right one for you. So I've certainly had a lot of opportunities and a lot of rejections as well. And I always regard rejection to be redirection because I've certainly come close to booking really big jobs. And I know I did. And it would have sent my career on a different trajectory or get me somewhere further. But whoever booked the job because they were more suitable for it, I'm happy for them. I'm genuinely happy for them. It's like when you're at an audition, say you and I are going for a role at an audition. It's like, we're in the waiting room, we'll talk. It's a bit awkward because I want the job, you want the job. But at the end of the day, it's like, actually, no, I like you. Well, if I don't get the job, I hope you do. And if you get it, I'm happy for you. There is one guy who, specifically for commercials and adverts. If I go for a commercial audition, for instance, and if I know he's there, he always gets it over me. There's about 5 or 6 commercials that he's gotten over me.
Mm.
And to be honest, I'm really, really happy for him, especially knowing how much he makes from those commercials. Like I'm very happy for him because he has this charisma, especially when I see it on TV or as a YouTube ad, for instance. I thought, there he is again. That's the job I auditioned for.
Yeah.
But everybody's on a separate journey. So it's very important to not take rejection personally. And sometimes, it's like if it's a job you're really passionate about, it's like, I really want to be a part of this TV show. And then it doesn't happen for you. That's okay. You can mourn the process and start
Mm.
again. These days, I'm like, okay, it's fine. If I didn't get it, I didn't get it. It wasn't for me. I think a couple years ago, I had about 130 audition tapes that I sent through for 43 productions. So one film might want 3 different scenes,
Mhm.
and I'll give maybe 2 takes of each scene. So that's 6 tapes. And I think from as many as I did, I booked one job. So it does happen. It does it do be like that sometimes. And I certainly feel with that kind of ratio, my successes are known, but my failures are not. And I'm never
Mm.
afraid to talk about those failures because that's where you learn. With every audition, you just get a bit better each time. And when your agent comes back and says, "Do you mind redoing it and doing it this way instead of this way?" No problem. You want the best from me. I will do that. And I certainly feel that's something you can take in life as well. Not every opportunity is the right one. I regard them to be synchronicities. Sometimes things just happen to work out for you in a way that you didn't think was possible. And it's okay to not have control over how it happens because you'll drive yourself crazy micromanaging the process. I will order my sandwich, and as soon as I've ordered it to the waitress, and as she's taking a few steps away to take my order to the kitchen, I call her back and say, "Where's my sandwich?" You know what I mean? She hasn't had time to take it to the kitchen yet, and
Yeah.
I would say I'm guilty of this. If I place an order on Deliveroo, I'm just like, oh, I could eat right now. Yeah, okay. I'm looking, staring out the window. We have to be careful that we don't do that, and just, this is what I want. This is what I'm working towards and trusting the process.
Yeah. I mean, how many times have we failed, say, in the gym, for instance,
It's, oh,
as
yeah,
part of a workout, as part of a routine, as part
yeah,
of a 3 month block, in order to just get a little bit closer to maybe the look or the lift that we're after in our world? And I would imagine even more so in yours, as you describe, if you don't fail, if you don't allow the time to fail and to learn and to recover and to go again, you might not be ready for the thing if it were just given to you anyway.
absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. I think especially with training, that is most applicable, because when you train, for instance, and it's like, I remember years ago, I was really happy I could press the 40-kilo dumbbells. I was really happy with it. And my training partner says, go lower. I said, no, I can't. He goes, no, no, go a bit lower. And that extra centimeter changed everything for me. I was like, oh, this is a range of motion that I've never hit before. So, okay, drop the weight, picked up I was actually excited to pick up a considerably lighter weight because I was like, okay, that means I haven't maxed out yet. I'll pick up the lighter weight and then work on that deeper range of motion. I'm always open to that. If someone at the gym spots me and says, I think the next set you can do something different, that's not a failure. That for me, okay, I can do better. I can do better. And also with training, it teaches you delayed gratification. If I gave you Arnold Schwarzenegger's physique right now, amazing. But could you maintain it? Could you do everything he did to maintain that physique? Probably not. So you have to go through those lessons. And like as you know, for instance, muscle gain takes so long. It's so much work for so little gain. For so little gain. And it's you have to be patient with it. And that's certainly something I feel with the TikTok generation and with the fitness community. You get people who are using exogenous substances to get further ahead. I get all the accusations and the allegations, but I'll say for the record, I have always been natural. And I always say to people, the short-term gains are massively outweighed by the long-term risks. So it's like someone said to me the other day, well, how long did it take for you to get like this? I said 5 days a week for 24 years. And he was like, oh, because I'm trying to get like this by Sunday. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, you know,
Yeah.
and the thing is, I get it. I want, I want to be improving my appearance, to be improving how I present myself. And that takes time. It takes a lot of time. It's like there's a guy that I train with him and his dad, and he's 16, 17, and you know what? Seeing him putting on muscle week on week because of the age he's at is I'm so envious. I thought, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But it's for him, it's kind of slow. It's like it's a little bit, but with my eyes, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like every week I can see, a bit of progress. But I think we have to be patient because if you had it all right now, what would be the point? You wouldn't have learned the lessons you needed to get there. It's like the amount of lifts I failed, the amount of and lessons in life that I failed okay, maybe this is not the right way. I need to change this, change that. And everyone has a different body type, for instance. My arms might be a bit shorter, so I have better leverage for this lift, but might be worse off in a different lift, for instance. And it's like it's important to never compare ourselves to anyone else either. And like, can I ask, like, how tall are you, for instance?
For legal reasons, 177 centimeters, 5'10" ish. Uh,
Nice, nice.
yeah, on a good day, I'm 5'10".
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, I'm about 5'9" on a good day with shoes on. But it's like you and I would never compete with one another. We might train with different weights. If I have an injury, for instance, I might go a bit lighter. So I always think comparison is unless you're competing, it doesn't matter too much. It doesn't matter at all. So long as you're better than you were. Be better than you were yesterday, but worse than you'll be tomorrow.
Yeah. I like that because then there's always room to grow into, isn't there? And
100%. And I certainly say, people say, oh, well, you've got body dysmorphia. And I think there is an element of that.
mm,
But it's also, once you've hit where you want to be, you always strive for more. It's like, oh, maybe I can get this. Maybe I can, make it an improvement here instead. And I won't be happy until I do. It's yeah. So I think everyone's on their personal journey, and I think dysmorphia is a part of it. But I think once you hit a certain where you wanted to be initially, you always want to strive for more. You know what I mean?
mm.
I'm sure Ronnie Coleman still wanted to be bigger, more ripped, and lift heavier weight. I mean, his only regret was not squatting 800 for 5 reps instead of two or three. It's insane,
Yeah, it's mind blowing. But I think something that I've seen in your journey, John, is that you hit 110 kilos and you walked around like that for some
Yeah.
time. And I think the way that you've already spoken about identity and dealing with rejection and setbacks and those being a part of your journey, if we
Yes.
focus on the physical aspect of what it is that you do, that'd be all right.
Of course, of
Yeah.
course.
To
Hmm.
be 5'8" and 110 kilos, that's obviously a huge amount of mass.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, maybe from a couple of different perspectives, were you drawn to that or did you fall into it? And
Um,
was size something, I guess, that you did you feel that you needed to be a size in order to live your best life, so to speak?
that's a really good question because as a kid, I collected all the magazines thinking, oh, if I do this guy's shoulder workout, I'll look like that without realizing that they were using other things. But then it's like I just train and train and train and I ate and ate and ate and I would eat 6 to 8 meals a day every day. And I would say I didn't count calories. I didn't track my calories at all. And I ballooned up in weight. So I think the heaviest I got was 118, which did not feel good. So once I got to about 110, I was always hovering between about 108, 112, somewhere in that region. Well, because if you don't track calories and you're eating all the time, that just becomes your normal. That is just what you are. And I certainly enjoyed being heavy because there was a lot of strength that came with that. My lifts went up, and I was holding a lot of body fat. I was holding so much body fat, which because I was proportionate, I could hold it well. And certainly, when it came to sparring or if it came to grappling, I had a lot of strength there. And my endurance was actually really good at 110 kilos. My speed was also really good. I could move because I've been doing martial arts since 1993. Any weight I put on, I continued to move with that weight. So my body just got used to it. My endurance was good. And then I think in 2023, we were told that The Brother Sun was going to come out in January 2024. So in about, I think from about August, I knew that I had a few months before the show came out. And if people have seen episode 5 and know what happens, I was like, okay, if they have a sequel, if they have a second season, I'm hoping they'll bring me back for flashbacks when my character is younger, in his prime, and slimmer. Because there is a line that Michelle Yeoh delivers where she says, well, back then you weren't so fat. And I thought, and I held on to that because my characters had a history. Blood Boots has had a history of violence, debt collecting, all this kind of stuff. So he's definitely past his prime. So if they bring me back for season 2, that's when he's younger and slimmer. So I thought, right, what I'm going to do is if we do get a season 2, I want to look like that already. So from August 20, at the end of August 2023, I decided to cut weight and for the first time track my calories. Oh, now by that point, I was eating one meal a day. I've been doing one meal a day for years, but I could maintain 110 kilos on one meal a day, which was something. So yeah, that one meal was enormous.
What were
So I
you
thought, okay,
eating for that, John?
everything. I just, I just thought, well, it's one meal. I mean, I think during lockdown, the gyms were closed, so I reduced my meals down from 6 meals down to three, down to two. 2 meals a day is great, but then I thought, let's see if I can do one. And, I think at one meal a day, I went from about 115 down to about 110. And then I could just maintain that. But I was eating so much, I just want whatever I wanted. But I thought, okay, what I need to do if I want to cut this weight, I will stick with the one meal a day, but I'll just reduce how much I'm eating. I certainly don't need as many carbohydrates. So I reduced them drastically. And I think what happened was I just lost a lot of water weight initially. And then eventually I started losing a bit more body fat. And but my training was the same. I kept my training as close to what I could when I was heavy, just because I didn't want to lose any muscle. Inevitably, you do lose some muscle whilst you're cutting. And I lost a fair bit on my legs, which, to be honest, it didn't bother me too much because having big legs day to day doesn't help you. Day to day doesn't help you having because of the chafing and
Yeah.
yeah. And I thought, okay, that's fine. And then I think I got down to 100. I thought, let's see if I can get below 100. Got down to 90. And then for about a year, I managed to maintain 88 to 89. I managed to maintain that. Yeah, so I thought when I walked onto the red carpet on January 4th, 2024, I hadn't seen a lot of the cast and crew in a while, in a long time, because we filmed in 2022, the summer of 2022. So when the show came out in 2024, I hadn't seen them in so long. So I walked on the red carpet. It was the first time any of them had seen me in a while. Some of the producers were like, my gosh, like, what happened? And I remember saying, if we get a season 2, um, and you write me back in for flashbacks and prequels, you don't have to wait for me to get all that weight off because I'm already looking the way he does when he's younger and slimmer. So you don't have to wait months for me to get that weight off because I've already done the work. So that was forward thinking on my part, thinking, okay, this is now the new goal. Yeah, I gotta say, I enjoy having a jawline now. I never had one before.
Yeah.
And yeah, and unfortunately, Netflix didn't renew us for season 2. But and then I was like, but I've lost all this weight, but I feel better for it. I can
Mm.
walk up the stairs and my knees don't hurt, and my cardio is better, and I can move slightly quicker for slightly longer now. But and now I'm weighing in about 92 and 93, which is really great for me to maintain, and I still do one meal a day. I think the one meal a day helps me with a bit of life balance because I can still indulge and I can still meet my caloric requirements. Sometimes I go slightly over, sometimes I go a little bit under, but it also lets me enjoy a meal out with friends, for instance. And I saw this meme. It said, "Do I want abs or be happy?" I think somewhere in between. It's. I know people who train for abs who are desperately unhappy. They can't sleep. They have no energy when they're training. And I think that's an extreme that I haven't taken my body to, and I'm okay not doing that. And certainly I think health should always be at the forefront. So I have friends who are competitive bodybuilders, but as you know, when you step on stage, you are at your weakest. And you are so depleted, you're so dehydrated. And of course, I always wonder what would I look like if I did that? But it would literally just be for like a day or two, and just to look like that. And then after that, you just put the weight back on. And so at the moment, I like being at 92 kilos, 93, where I could cut a little more, but I don't need to. I don't need to. I can still enjoy a meal out with someone and not be too crazy about counting those calories anymore. Certainly when you're cutting weight, it helps to know how much is in what, just to help you gauge. Because I think sometimes these protein bars, for instance, they have a lot of things in them that you didn't realize. It's like, ooh.
And often they have a lot of calories in which you didn't realize. So a lot of
Yes.
people will eat protein bars as a healthy snack, but there are so many more protein bars with more calories than a Mars bar or a Snickers in that if you're
Yes.
just craving something chocolatey, you're better off having the chocolate. Um,
100%. It's too easy to either not track the calories and to the other extreme to track it too much, where it's like, well, I've had 3.2 liters of water today. I need to up it a bit more. Oh, every day you're different. Every day you feel different. So you have to treat it accordingly. That's why I love what you do with the mental, the emotional, the physical, the social, the financial. I love that you have those pillars because I don't think people articulate it enough in those terms. I really, really love what you do.
I appreciate you saying that, John. And I think something that you and I chime with is maybe the idea of having a four pack but a smile. You can still have a bit of a fitness look, but make sure
Yes,
you have dessert if you want it. You
100%.
know, um,
100%.
I have found that recently it's when I'm busy not focusing on how I look that I look the best. And
Yes,
it's usually the same if you're looking for love. Busy yourself with everything but looking for love, and it will come along. And
100%.
as you have described with, the season two that wasn't green lit, but you had a vision of something that you wanted, and you decided that you'd make moves towards that thing. But
Yes,
those moves also meant that you were maybe a bit healthier, and your knees didn't hurt going upstairs. Like these are quality of life adjustments, and now you didn't need season two to feel the way that you do. You know,
100%. Certainly. I love that because whilst I was sad that we didn't get season two, all the cast members and all the crew, they're so talented. I knew they would move on to other things, and they have. A lot of them have worked on really, really incredible productions. I would have wanted to continue the journey with them, but at the same time, it's like we're all on our separate journey. So inevitably we'll cross paths at some point, but I do think health should always be at the forefront. Yeah, I think at my heaviest, my waist was 44 inches. And because everything else was in proportion, you couldn't really tell. But it's like, and now I think, I'm sporting like a 32 or 34, so I'm much happier. My health markers have changed for sure. And, I'm not chasing weight. I don't need to be lifting this amount, especially working in a display profession where there is some pressure on people to look a certain way.
yeah.
That's fine. I mean, when you got Christian Bale, who he's like a chameleon. He would change his weight according to the job. I mean, that is incredible to do that.
Mm.
I think from The Machinist, he put on 100 pounds for Batman Begins. I mean, my gosh, my gosh. It's probably not the healthiest thing to do. I'm sure he would admit that too, but I think if it's a display profession, yes, we have to present ourselves a certain way on camera, but also, it's important to be happy, to be healthy. Those are things that are actually the most important thing. And like you said, it's when you're in the moment and someone takes a photo of you as I think some of the best photos are the ones that you didn't see. You're actually laughing, you're enjoying yourself, and when you see it later, oh, actually, I really like that. It's and I think certainly when you pose for photos, it's different because you're posing for it. Although I gotta say, some of the images I'm tagged in are dreadful. But fine, I'm happy for them to be there because it's real. But everybody has dreadful angles, and I think people really need to bad lighting, bad angles, you know, certain angles I look like a thumb. I get it. You know what I mean? But it's
I'm,
all part of life.
yeah, of course, I'm doing my best with textures here, John. If you've got any recommendations for lighting, you let me know because yeah, looking like a thumb isn't what I'm going for.
No. Yeah, I saw it in a comment once. It's like, yeah, John, you look like a thumb here. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. But that's another thing. It's not taking yourself too seriously.
No.
Not taking yourself too seriously because it's in any profession where you are public, you need to have a thick skin. You might receive 100 compliments and 100 really nice comments. It's usually that one. It's like, oh no, oh no. And certainly, when you have actors who read reviews, it can really be really off-putting and be damaging. I say to people, you do the best you can. Someone else's opinion is generally none of my business.
I'm not asking for a cent or penny or peso from you. It is just to let me know that what we're doing is worthwhile. And maybe to introduce a friend or family member or partner to what it is that we do. Unless, of course, we're going to keep this as our little secret.
It's like when I did Take Me Out about, oh my gosh, 10 years ago. That show is the reason why I both joined and left Twitter. So,
What?
yeah. So some of the comments were so lovely. Some of them were a bit rude. I think someone said, yeah, he's definitely putting on that voice. And I responded with, I'm really not. This is just how I talk. And she was like, oh, well, that's how I feel. I like doubled down. I thought, well, okay, fine. You can't convince everyone. Not everyone will like you, that's okay. That's okay. So I certainly feel with any platform where you're public, you absolutely need to have a thick skin, just because there are going to be haters and there are going to be trolls. You know, yeah. So sometimes staying off those is probably better for you.
For
Sometimes I
sure.
read the comments because I find them funny.
I think 2 points on this. So the first one relating to Take Me Out, the comment that you had. So it's episode 4, brother's son. Your character is sat around the table with the Sun family, and your voice just cuts right through. It's wonderful to hear. When you
Thank you.
hear uh, just a really strong British accent on American TV, it's
Mm,
amazing. So Johnny Lee Miller as Sherlock in Elementary is another good example of that, I think,
yes.
where it's not jarring. I think from my time in California, I didn't feel like I was being judged for how I
Mm,
sounded. It was nice to be at angles with the people around me. There was
yes.
difference, and that was nice. And so I really enjoyed hearing you in that
Oh,
episode.
thank you.
So yeah, I think rock on with that. And it was lovely to see these incredible actors and then to hear how everyone
Ah.
was. The
Thank you so
second
much.
bit, the second bit was Michelle Yeoh's comment to you, as you've already
Mm,
described, about you were slimmer back then. But then she also says to the character Charles, as does the love interest, little fatty, their translation. When we talk about things like rejection and setbacks and having a thicker skin, and you've already described how your weight ballooned and then you stayed up that big, maybe informed by Michelle Yeoh, you came back down a little bit. What is that pressure like to look a certain way or to present a certain way, if there is one that you've observed?
I would say it's a lot of the pressure is self-imposed. Because I grew up reading Flex magazine.
Yeah.
So I have an ideal of, like, when I used to read the comic books, I had an idea of what a superhero should look like. Then you've got someone like Schwarzenegger, Stallone, and Jean-Claude Van Damme, Bolo Young, all these guys in incredible shape. It's hard to in many ways, to if you want to play a superhero, to not have a certain aesthetic in mind and try to match up. And there is dissonance there because it's like, well, I need to get like this. And so there is some pressure there for sure. And a lot of it is self-inflicted. And I think it's knowing boundaries as well and knowing genetic limit, for instance. For instance, having calves and forearms. Some people have them, some people don't. Some people have both, some people have neither. And it's like, just to say, my mum has enormous calves and she hates them. And she's envious of mine because, as she describes, they're so slender. I'm like, oh gosh. Yeah, so there is pressure, It's like if I wear shorts, for instance, the first thing people say is, oh, yeah, do you skip leg day? You I don't, but genetically, I know that the insertions are not there. So you have to be real. A lot of it is education. A lot of it is realistically, if they wanted me to put on 10 pounds of muscle, I was on a film a few years ago where one of the actors, um, I think at the time was about 106 kilos. I was big, and one of the actors, he was quite shredded. He was in incredible shape. But there I am just seeing him like his hands are shaking as he's eating tuna. I get it, I get it. And it's like he said to me, look, I'm meeting production later. Can you come with me? I'm like, yeah, yeah, sure, sure. And I sit down with him in this meeting and they say to him, we want you to be big. We want you to be same size as John. I mean, he was like maybe 75 kilos. He said, we want you to be same size as John, but more ripped, like more ripped than you are now. And I said, okay, can I just ask what is the time frame here? He said, well, if you can do it in 2 weeks, that would be great. I'm like, okay, so in 2 weeks, you want him to have put on over 30 kilos of lean muscle and be leaner than he already is. It's not possible. Even with all the exogenous substances,
Yeah.
it's not possible. Because the guy, my friend, he was so depleted, you have a bit of brain fog. So I was happy to take that and say, look, it's not possible. So it's important for us to educate ourselves on what is possible. What is the time frame? Now, I say to people, I think it's easier to cut weight, body fat that you already have than it is to put on muscle that you don't have. Because putting on muscle that you don't have takes years and tears, whereas cutting body fat, you're just losing what you already have on you, as opposed to gaining what you don't. So it's being informed and having to read up on anatomy, on biology, on what is possible and what is realistic. So I'm grateful that in some of the films that I've done, they're happy with what I have, and I just have to maintain what I have. I think last one of the last films I did, they wanted me to be the same size, and my arms and shoulders are on show. So I was thinking, well, I'll just do arms 3 times a week, and then got tendonitis from it. I thought maybe, yeah, I can't recover from that. I can't recover from 3 arm days a week, so you have to pull it back. I say to people, rest and recovery is just as important as the training. It needs to be proportionate. It's if you're not, even if you're training well, you're eating well, and you're getting 4 hours of sleep a night, that's where the conversation ends.
For
But
sure.
I'd say education, 100%.
The example that I just have on that specifically with arms, it's one that my dad and my uncle would bring up. So I did karate from the age of 6 to maybe 17, and my uncle was a big influence there.
Amazing.
And he loved Bruce Lee. So obviously I could relate to Jackie Chan because
Yes.
of the comedy, but Bruce Lee was the fighting, like Jackie Chan, the tricks, the stunts, don't get me wrong, and obviously an incredible fighter. But Bruce Lee was just something else. And there's the apocryphal story of his sensei being really upset with him for overdeveloping his biceps for Western movies. Have you come across this?
Yeah, yeah.
And the reasoning was that he wasn't able to extend his arm as fully because of the muscle mass that he developed. So rather than being able to go to a full lockout,
Mhm.
his bicep kept him at 175. And
Yeah.
that tension literally between the aesthetic and the athletic ability is one that stuck with me. So I wondered if maybe
100%.
you'd been impacted by that. Because I've seen you tumbling, for instance, in commercial gym, you're doing all of your tricks, but you're doing that as somebody who is well muscled and carrying size. So yeah, if you had a take on that, I would be fascinated by it.
So I knew that story. I didn't realize that was Bruce Lee actually. So that's really, really interesting. But it's true. I think some of my friends who are bodybuilders, who are a similar weight to me, for instance, I have a friend who said to me, "Oh, we're about the same weight. Can you show me how to move like you? Because we're about the same weight and build, I feel like I should be able to." And the first thing I said, well, thank you for saying that we're the same similar kind of build because we're definitely not. You're in considerably better shape. But you've been lifting weights for 30 years. There's muscle memory that there's muscle maturity, movement maturity that you need to develop, and economy of motion that you won't have developed in these 30 years of training. So you have perfect technique when it comes to squats, curls, deadlift, bench press. You have perfect technique. And your technique will probably be better than mine, but if I've been doing martial arts for a similar amount of time, I have certain movements, like a kick, like a punch, that have movement maturity that I've developed over that 30 years that you would be playing catch up on. So it's different. And I'd say if you are a martial artist and you're putting on muscle, the two can go hand in hand, but you can't neglect one over the other. So if you do uh, if you develop yourself too much and you don't do as much martial arts training, the technique will suffer. The flexibility and mobility will suffer. So it's finding a balance. So when I was younger, I mean, I've been training since 93. So yeah, 33 years that I would have been doing martial arts training. Um, that's every day of training. The intensity changes, obviously, but it's like even with my weight training, I still made sure that I could still do the stuff with, when I was slimmer. And I think it's important to be able to still do those things. I can't recover as quickly as I used to from the jumps anymore. And all the tumbling. That's a little harder these days for sure, but that's as a result of age, as a result of age for sure. And certainly when I cut the weight down, I was more mobile for sure, but you know, still my joints over time, there's a lot of wear and tear. But I'd say, if you're wanting to, I know some people who have very developed physiques and then got into martial arts. And the movement maturity isn't there. I mean, the muscles don't facilitate that kind of movement. But when you have people who are martial artists who then put on a little bit of muscle, sometimes it does work. Sometimes there is a limit. There is absolutely a limit. And certainly when I was younger, I wanted to be stronger than anyone, faster than me, and faster than anyone stronger than me. And if I
Mm.
happened to come across someone who was both faster and stronger, I had to be smarter. So especially as all of my training partners, all of my instructors were taller than me, I knew that certain things that they did wouldn't work for me. So you just got to be the best you can be and accept yourself unconditionally and make improvements where you can. And it's like when it comes to Bruce Lee, for instance, even if he was slightly slower, having more developed biceps, it would not have made a difference. Definitely wouldn't have made a difference. Now, another guy I'd say is Michael Jai White, who's 6'4". I met him in 2007. He was in incredible shape. He's always been in shape, but the movement he has, it's like you can be extremely muscular and still be so flexible and have such laser precision in your techniques because he's never stopped practicing those things. So I
Mm.
think the two go hand in hand. But if he took up bodybuilding, for instance, instead of martial arts, he would have done just as well. He would have progressed. He would have done beautifully in bodybuilding. But it just so happens he's able to marry the two together and still be able to move, even though he carries so much muscle mass. So it is possible. It's just finding that balance.
Yeah, and growing up with it by the sounds of it. So, as you say, over the years, you kept on training as you were gaining muscle mass.
Yes.
And I think that seems, from your account, to be crucial in order to have the best time of it, rather
Yes.
than necessarily splitting it into blocks and then maybe suffering as you
Yes.
rotate in and out, because there's always going
Yes.
to be some catch up time and lag if you're
Yes.
changing things. And that's
Absolutely.
something that features in programming for me. I know that I've got clients who maybe will get bored of a movement after say 3 months and ask if they can do something different. And it's just
Mm.
like, okay, cool. If you don't want to get stronger at this, or it doesn't mean that much to you, we can do that. But I can
Yes.
guarantee you, if you want to have the most gains from this movement, say if it's a hip hinge, we're trying to grow your glutes, you're probably better off doing it until you get really good at it and you master the
Yes.
form if you want
Yes.
the most from it aesthetically and athletically. Um,
100%. 100%.
yeah.
It's trusting the process because everyone wants results now. And I think if I'm stuck in traffic, sometimes I'm like, I just want to get out and run home. And to be honest, you'll probably get home quicker if you stayed in traffic anyway, just because it's quite the distance. So you
Yeah.
know what? Just trust the process. I know I'm going to get home eventually. It's that delayed gratification, having the patience, because results don't come overnight. And if they did, gosh, can you imagine? I don't think we would appreciate what we had if it came overnight. Women, especially when they tell me, I don't want to be big and bulky. I don't want to. That is never something they ever need to worry about when it comes to lifting weights because it doesn't happen overnight. I wish it did, but it doesn't.
I've been lifting weights for 10 years, John. If I were big and bulky, I'd be delighted at this point.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I'd say to people, be aware of some of the advice that you see on social media as well, because there's so much out there that well, it's maybe they're doing other things, because some people will promote a specific program or a protocol without being overly transparent about the other things they're doing. You know what I mean? So I say to people, just be aware that that does happen. Find someone that you trust and you resonate with. And not every trainer is the right one for you, but it's like certainly like with when I used to teach regular martial arts classes. I would always want to meet people first. What is it you want to do? And if they said to me, "Oh, I just want to fight," was that well? Actually, there's a load of mixed martial arts gyms just down the road, Muay Thai. I'm probably not the best person for that, and I would happily say no to money just because I know that that person wouldn't get on with the rest of the students if they just wanted to fight. Most of the people I had in those classes were, people who had families, people who were students, and they just wanted to learn a bit of self-defense, learn how to composure under pressure, conflict resolution, all those things. And I think if you just want to fight, that's just one element of martial arts. So it's like, and I say to people, martial arts splits into three categories. You got fighting, health, and performance. It's important to have those things. I mean, I perform for a living for sure. I'll never compete again, really, I don't think, but it's like I'll train for self-defense, but more importantly, I'll train for health. And for anyone listening, it's important to choose an instructor or a personal trainer that resonates with where you want to be, who understands what you want to do, who isn't just going to take your money.
For sure. I know for me, watching the stuff you do, so the shower room scene or like the spa
Oh yeah.
scene where you're blood boots and you're taking Bruce, hopefully to safety
Yes.
away from the triads, is so beautifully choreographed. I'm much more of the kata choreography
Mm.
persuasion than I am the actual fight. Now, that's not to
Yeah.
say that you didn't take a couple of hits, but learning the sequences, learning the steps, I absolutely adored that side of karate. But getting hit, not for me. I'm just
100%. No, I'm with you.
yeah,
I'm with you. I think I think if you do martial arts training, of course you will take hits, you will take knocks. It is inevitable, but it's like yeah, you know what? I say to people, just because you do martial arts doesn't mean you're unstoppable. It just means that your ability to fire back increases, and your
mm,
ability to stay safe increases. Doesn't make you unstoppable, doesn't make you invincible. And when you do choreography, for instance, it is just timing. It's just timing, rehearsals again and again and again. We had practiced that sequence for a long time before we filmed it. Those are fixed movements, and things change on the day, obviously. You might change the camera angle, you might change, your arm from this way to this way, but it's very different to real fighting. Real fighting is not pretty. I used to work in security. It's like when you see real fighting compared to film fighting, I mean, they're very different. You still need technique and you still need some kind of instinct as well, because when you do film fighting, sometimes mistakes happen. Say you and I are doing a fight sequence, and someone comes over and says, "Can you change these moves to these moves?" I'm like, "Okay, we're gonna film now. We're gonna go now." It's like, "Oh, okay." So there's a lot to remember. There's a lot to remember. Both of us are under pressure. Mistakes will happen, and sometimes it's like you need a bit of instinct, some reflexes, some reaction, and sometimes I might do something slightly differently that neither of us accounted for just by accident. You might have reacted to that, and they ended up loving it because it was a natural reflex. So it's important to have to do martial arts in that respect because I say to people, actors, for instance, do I just do screen fighting or should I do a real martial art? I say always do a real martial art because if you're under pressure from sparring, you know what it's like. You know what it's like to be under pressure. When you're filming, you're acting under pressure. It's very difficult to appropriate that genuine emotion if you haven't been there before. From real martial arts training, you can act, but sometimes you can tell. You can tell that you're just acting under pressure as opposed to being under pressure. If you've already been under pressure, that's why I say to people, if you want to be an actor, then everything that you've done in life has prepared you for your life as an actor. Because there's a bit in episode 4 of Brother Sun where I pay off Bruce's tuition obnoxiously. I used to work at a college where I worked in student services, and I remember having the same conversation with this student about, look, you are in arrears, you are late behind payments, your attendance is not good. Basically, you need to pay up, otherwise, we can't continue your studies. And this guy just stands up. He said, well, and he had a bit of cash and just slapped it onto the table and said, well, this should cover it. It was obnoxious. So when I read the script, I thought, oh, well, I've been on the receiving end of that. Okay, I can channel that. So everything you do in life prepares you for your life as an actor. So if you do martial arts and you've taken a bit of a beating in sparring, and then in a fight scene, you're having to take a bit of a beating, you've been there. This is not new for you. You've been there. You're just not getting hurt. There are parallels and there are similarities. There are from anything that you do. Like I worked so many jobs before I took film full time. So I would book a day off work to do film, come back and then be at my desk at work. Or, I do deliveries, I do security, worked as a psychologist. I did a lot of things. So if I ever had a film role that required me to do any of those things, I can draw from experience. So it's important to do that.
People could go to your website, Jon, and see exactly just how much it is that you do and the breadth of experience that you have and bring into your day to day. I wonder if we start to bring things together a bit. Blood Boot says to Bruce that we don't party like that all the time. We only party like that if we think that we're not going to come back tomorrow. And that is a motto, a mantra, I think is a powerful one. I wonder, based maybe on what we've discussed or your experiences to get to this point, if you had a motto, a mantra, something that you reflect on when you need it.
Gosh. Wow. I would say that's really, really good. I think there's a lot of things that Blood Boot says that I do resonate with. And I think, but also, you have to enjoy the moment, but you also have to put in the work. You always have to put in the work, but and not be blind to the work not be blind to the moment because it's too easy to have so focused on the end result that you miss everything else in between. But I'd say, when you're not working in your craft, you need to be working on your craft. Keep the dream alive because not now doesn't mean not ever. And the world is big enough for everyone to have what they want to achieve and more. The opportunities are out there. They're just not yet on your radar. So keep doing what you're doing. It's like if I drive from say London to Scotland, for instance, in the middle of the night, I can only see maybe I don't know, 100 meters ahead with my full beams on, for instance. I can't see the whole journey, so I think they say you don't need to see the whole staircase, just take the first step, and keep going. And eventually, life experiences will take you in different directions anyway. And when you come back to what it is, your event, your goal, your end goal, you would have gained so much more experience. So I didn't go to drama school, for instance. Part of me wishes I had, but I did a lot of other things that help me to draw experience for acting roles. So I say everything you do in life prepares you for what you don't even know is going to happen. So for instance, even when you're training at the gym, you're developing certain strengths that you might not even realize that you'll use eventually or enjoy the benefits of. It's me. I'm going to be honest. Me personally, I these days, I can't say I enjoy the benefits of weight training anymore because it's like someone says to me, "Hey, can you help me move my couch?" I'm like, "Well, I deadlifted today, so no." Or it's like, "Can you help me open this jar?" I'm like, "Well, I was doing forearms earlier, so also no." So I'm perpetually tired. But no, I mean, obviously, I'd say the work you put in is something that you'll enjoy down the line, but don't be blind to what you're currently doing. Enjoy the process.
I know that you believe this and I know that you live this because you've used these phrases earlier in
Yes.
just this discussion, you know? So I do believe you when you say that. And I think it is just a case of, all right, go out and, put in the work, do the action. Don't just think
Yes.
about it, take that first step, as you say.
I mean, sometimes to be good at the thing, you need to just do the thing. It's like if you always think, okay, well, I'll do it tomorrow, whenever I'm ready. To be honest, sometimes now is the best time. Now is always the best time. Planting a seed 20 years ago is the best time to plant a tree. The next best time is today. It's like when people say, I'll start on Monday.
Yeah.
Maybe you can start now. It's like new year, new me. It's like, you know, self-work is one of the most important things. Like in relationships, for instance. Like I would never want to jeopardize a relationship over something that I could have fixed in myself. So if a partner is angry at me, it's not because I'm jealous or I'm insecure or I have a vice where I have a drinking problem or some kind of problem. I think it's important to complete yourself first before you ever trying to complete someone else. So I say to anyone, inner work is the most important thing. And it doesn't just change you, it shifts the energy around you entirely. Some people may be able to keep up with your energy that you resonate. Other people might not be able to, and that's okay as well. People grow apart, and it's knowing that as well. And I think, as you change and develop, it's like I've certainly met up with old college friends more recently, and it's like, you're still into partying? Oh gosh, it's not that fine, but it's like that is not who I am. It's and people change over time as well. So I'd say, with that change, you're in the driving seat of that. You're in the driver's seat. So you can dictate what that change is as well. It's like, okay, maybe I'm a bit of a worrier. I'm an overthinker. Let's see what we can do to help overcome that thing. And it's certainly when I worked as a psychologist, I would have a lot of people um, come to me with anxiety. Athletes get it, performers get it. It doesn't matter. It's like if I'm a security guard who's about to throw someone out of a club, or I'm a police officer who's about to make an arrest, or I'm about to do a driving test, or I'm about to ask someone out, four different situations, my body physiologically goes to the same thing. Perceive fear. I freeze up. And it's knowing how to breathe. I say to people, you're not you when you're hungry, so you eat. You're not you when you're thirsty, so you drink. You're not you when you're anxious. You have to breathe. You have to breathe. And it's returning your breathing back to what it is when it's relaxed. So your nervous system can change and accommodate that. If you're about to do a presentation, for instance, you've practiced it a bunch of times, no problem. Then you stood out in front of an audience of people. You're like, oh gosh. And the first thing that changes is your breathing. You have the ability to give out the information, but and you're an expert in your field, you've prepared it, but then public speaking, it's so I'd say learn how to breathe. That's so important. And once you know how to change your nervous system back to what it is when it's relaxed, when you're breathing, through breathing, you're in a better position to give that information. And if I go on set, my first scene with Michelle Yeoh was my third day on set, and it was my last scene in the show, in episode 5. Yeah, no pressure, no pressure. Really gotta, take my own advice here. just take my breath and take my time, no problem. Because I think when you're nervous, your perception of time, your interpretation of time changes drastically. It's like, oh gosh, and you're rushing around. No, you can take your time. And I think it's important that we don't put so much pressure on ourselves and have these self-inflicted time constraints. It's like it'll happen in its own time. We
Mm.
just need to be ready for when it does. So keep training, keep working, and make sure that you are taking the best care of yourself. I sleep 10 hours a night, my greatest flex of all time. I sleep so much because it sets up my day for everything else. I prioritize my sleep. And I say that to people. Doesn't matter how hard you train, you gotta sleep. Gotta make sure that you recover. But yeah, I'd say, I mean, that's a long-winded answer, but
All through that time you were breathing though, John. So it
oh,
was
good, good, good. I'm glad to hear that.
that
Gosh,
essential breath though is exactly on point when you say that we all will experience anxiety. It's just that some people will suffer from anxiety. And
yes,
as a performance metric, there's the Yerkes-Dodson law applied to this. So athletes at peak performance, actors peak performance, people in flow states will be experiencing a measurable amount of anxiety because without it, we don't have the impetus to do the thing. So
yes,
rather than fear it, trust it, allow it, breathe. Maybe from my experience, it's a case of as you're breathing, going, wow, I get to do this. I get to
yes,
be here. I get to be scared. And I also get to potentially enjoy the thing that comes once I've done it. So
100%.
let's just be here now. And maybe we can have it as fun. Maybe it is just going to be a nervy thing. But yeah, we'll breathe, we'll get through it.
So true. It's so true. It's like you end up enjoying it. It's like because anxiety and excitement are, I think, neurologically very similar. Only one is negative and one is positive. And I think when I realized that, it's like, sometimes I realize that I know I can ramble, and I know I can come across as a bit of a golden retriever kind of, excitable energy, as people have reminded me. But it's like I'm also aware that that is probably an anxiety excitement response. I'm excited to be here. And certainly when if I'm nervous about something, I can also choose to find things to be excited about. But I also say to people, um, don't trust your emotions after 9 p.m. You know, because you tend to overthink things. If you're in bed, I'm in bed by 9, but if you're in bed, you tend to, things are quiet now. Then the brain is like, let's review all the cringy things you've ever said. You know,
Yeah.
so it's important that we don't trust our emotions in the evening because we're very sensitive at that point, and that interrupts our sleep as well. Yeah, I know some people who say, I've had a really bad day. It's like, okay, I don't have bad days. I have bad moments for sure. But
Mm.
was the rest of the day bad? Oh no, my chicken wasn't completely cooked. Oh dear. But how was the rest of the meal besides that? There are things that you can always look on the bright side, and I think that's really important. And it always starts with how you woke up in the morning. And that starts with how you went to bed that night before. So it's a cycle, but it's you are in control of that. And I think it's so important to take ownership of your recovery, of your training. And that's why I say to people, motivation is emotional, whereas discipline is mental. Discipline has structure. This is just what I do. And motivation can sometimes help you get started, but it's unreliable by itself. You need both for sure. And I say to people, look, when I used to work a 9 to 5, I would get up at 4 or 5 just to do my martial arts training. I promise you, I don't want to do it. And it's not enjoyable. Discipline compels me to get up and do it. Motivation, okay, how am I feeling? I train according to how I feel. So sometimes if I'm not feeling particularly strong, I'll train a softer style. Because let's say someone picks a fight with me, it's always of a time of their choosing, not yours, unless you're the one picking the fight. But anyone who wants to fight me, it's of a time of their choosing. I don't know how I'll feel at that time. I might have just, I might just, I'm about to go into the gym, so I'm already, ready to go. I'm feeling quite okay. If someone picks a fight with me after the gym, oh God, I'm exhausted. I have no energy. So it's important to train according to how you feel as well. I think motivation and emotion dictate how I train that day, whereas discipline ensures that I do train that day.
Yeah, yeah, nailed it. Um,
Yes.
so if people want to find out more about your thinking on training, your acting projects, maybe see some of the work that you've done in the past, John, where should they go?
Instagram, Jon Xue Zhang. Yeah, I think Instagram and my website are the best places to find out more.
And what are you most excited about this year? Can you say anything?
Yes, so this year in June, I have the release of Masters of the Universe, which I'm so excited for. A little nervous because it has such a history and such a fan base, but above all else, I'm super excited for it. I'm living a childhood dream here. It's to play a superhero in a show that I used to watch with my brother, and we had all the action figures growing up. So this is a dream come true, and I really hope that everyone enjoys it.
I don't know if this is an appropriate phrase to say given your background, but I'm fairly certain break some legs would be appropriate.
Yeah, just not my own.
Not your own.
No,
Oh God.
100%. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I love what you do, and what you do very much resonates with me. And love to meet up with you and actually do a training session with you at some point and go for coffee or something. I'd love that.
Yeah, I would be really up for that, John. Thank you so much for your time. Hey up, cheers for making it to the end of this episode. If you enjoyed that one, I think you might like this one. And why not subscribe if you haven't already so you never miss an episode again.